just like when you compare numbers just versus one being smaller than the other, greater versus less, when you're trying to place them on a number line, the same thing goes. If you've got them in different forms, it's pretty tricky to figure out how to compare them with each other. So it is important, again, I think, to make sure everything's in like whole number form or decimal form for you guys to compare them to know where they go on your number line. But that's the first thing. Make sure they're all in decimals. So -4/3, you guys would divide -4 divided by 3. And that would give you -1.3 repeating. The square root of 8. Second, x squared, put your 8 inside there. 2.83. 2.4 is fine. And then -11 divided by 2 is going to be -5.5. So now that you have everything sort of in decimal form to figure out first off where it goes, because you're given whole numbers on your number line, but also to compare them with each other. So when you plot them, just make sure that you use the original one it gave you. So like -5.5 is the lowest or your least number. -5.5 is in between -5 and -6. But you guys need to use the original formatting. So yes, we turned it in to 5.5 to compare, but you want to use -11/2 when you go to plot it. So there's your -11/2. The next one is -1.3, which is in between -1 and 2. But again, use that fraction. Then you've got 2.4, which is just 2.4. And then the square root of 8 is also in between 2 and 3, 2.8. But use that original value. So you're still going to turn everything into decimals, but when you go to plot them, use that original value that the problem gave you. So -3 square root 2. Looks like that decimal is -4.24. 5.2 is fine. You can leave that. -5/2, divide that. Get -2.5. And square root of 40. Take the square root of that. Get 6.52. So go ahead and we can plot these on our number line. So -4.24 in between -4 and 5. As long as it's in between there, I'm fine with that. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it should be in between 4 and 5. But use that original -3 square root 2. All right, then we've got 5.2, so that will be in between 5 and 6. -5/2 is -2.5, so in between 2 and 3, -2 and 3. Use the fraction it gave you. And then square root of 40, 6.52, so in between 6 and 7. But use the square root of 40, not the 6.52. So, similar to less than and greater than. Just making sure we're like able to read that number line correctly, understand when we need to put it in between, what side of the number it goes on, but really just turning them all into decimals and then placing the original values in the correct location on the number line.